G'day guys, Jack Delosa here, and today I'm with Tammy May, who in 1999, at the ripe age of 22 years old, started MyBudget, which she has grown to 270 staff across Australia with 40,000 clients. Not only that, but as you probably know, MyBudget has become almost an iconic Australian brand that is known to the general Australian public, and they've achieved this starting off as a single entrepreneur at the age of 22 in just 15 years. Tammy's also been named as Ernst & Young's Young Entrepreneur of the Year in the Central Region. She's been named as Telstra's South Australian Businesswoman of the Year and has incredible accolades to her journey so far. So we're really happy that she's here to have a chat to us today. Tammy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
Now, before we get into it, I know that purpose has always played a part for you, right? You've always been purpose-driven. There's a lot of purpose to what you guys do at MyBudget, why you guys do it at MyBudget. Talk to us a little bit about the part that purpose has played in your path.
Purpose has played a huge part, actually. Every single day I wake up and I love what I do because we're making such a big difference in people's lives, a big difference in our clients' lives. I've literally had clients stop me in the street, give me a hug and tell me that MyBudget has saved their life or saved their marriage. I've been putting petrol in my car and a client has come up and said MyBudget saved their marriage. It's not just the difference we make in people's lives financially, it's the difference that we make in their life altogether. Because once you've got that stress taken out of your life, you can sort of focus on other parts of your life and everything just seems to get better. And for me, that's huge. That's what makes me want to wake up every day and do what I do. And I know it's really important for our staff at MyBudget too, because they get to come to work and make a difference in someone's life every day.
And it's also, you know, what you guys has so much meaning to it. Even if you look at, I know you've had a lot of stories around, you know, you saved our relationship because financial stress is the number one cause of divorce. You know, the impact that you guys are making to lives is quite profound. How has that sense of purpose helped not motivate, but help sort of fuel you along the journey? And how important has it been to your people? Because you've had an incredibly fast-growing team, and as any entrepreneur with a fast-growing team will know, it gets chaotic, stressful, it's high demand, it's high stress, high chain, you know, all of that sort of stuff. How important has purpose been for you guys?
Extremely important. You know, in the early days, you're not making much money. I was paying my staff as close to minimum wage as I could because that's all I could afford, and but our staff were still motivated, or are, and still were and still are motivated to come to work every single day because they're speaking to clients, they're knowing the difference that they make in their life, they're helping them sort through just day-to-day issues with their money, which means that they can then focus on other parts of their life and just make those parts better. I mean, things aren't easy when you're starting out in business. There's always challenges, and like I said, money's tight, but if you've got a strong sense of purpose and you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, it makes a really big difference to yourself and to your team.
You mentioned the early days. Let's talk about that, right? Because in the early days in any business, it's stressful. There's not a lot of money coming in the first few years. Talk to us about how long did it take for MyBudget to really financially start becoming self-sustainable and financially successful? And how did you navigate those first few years?
Well, it probably would have been almost 2 years till we were sort of in a position where, you know, I could start drawing a wage and, you know, we were always covering all of our expenses, but all the money was always going back into the business. So those first 2 years are really tough, and like we do with our clients, I stuck to a really strict budget, and we didn't. And every dollar we spent, there had to be a return on investment. There was no wasted dollar spent anywhere, whether it be on pens or on computers or whatever it might be, software, etc. Every single dollar was tracked, and every single dollar. And if we invested any money, I wanted to always know what was going to be the return of spending that money, and would it be worth it? Because I don't mind spending the money as long as we get a return on that investment. So it was really important that we looked after the money that we had coming in from our clients, and I saw it as that's our clients' hard-earned money, and we can't be frivolous with it. We need to be responsible with that money, just like we're teaching our clients to be responsible with their money.
And if we hone in on those 2 years where not yet profitable, not yet paying yourself a wage, because 2 years is a long time to go without a wage, right, for any human being. What were you saying to yourself for those couple of years to get you through?
I was saying there are so many people that need the service of MyBudget. There's so many people who need their money looked after, and there's no one else that can help them. So I know that what we're doing makes such a difference that this will work out. There's so many more people who need this help. So as soon as we get a bit of scale, charging $20 a week for 10 clients isn't a lot of money, but make that 1,000 or make that 2,000 or 40,000 clients, and then once you get scale, you get momentum. And I knew that once we got to that point, I'd done my budgets and my forecasts, that financially we would be able to support ourselves. So through those times, I just pushed through setting little goals and achieving them, setting little goals and achieving them. And eventually, after the first 2 years, you push through, and we got there. And it was just working hard, late nights. If I'd go on holidays, the phones were diverted to me. I remember being on a holiday in the snow. It's quite a stressful holiday, but because I was getting back and answering calls and taking messages and, doing all of that and still dealing with clients, even though I had, I think I had 1.5 staff members back then. But, I was still doing all of that, as you do. I used to have the phone diverted to me. I'd leave the office and the phone would divert to me. So if a client rang, I would answer the call at 10:30 at night at home. And that's just what you do when you're starting out in business. You go above and beyond to make it work.
That's what it really takes. Yeah, I find your answer to that really interesting, right? Because you spoke about the first thing that got you through was thinking about how other people needed the service and the product and the assistance, right? So being in service of others, while still knowing your budgets and your forecast, being financially responsible, right? I think that as entrepreneurs, when we can come from a position of contribution while also managing our financial situation to ensure we get through those tough times, that's when magic really happens.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So talk to us about, from a brand and a marketing perspective, you guys are really well known. Like, I knew you before I knew you. How did you do that? What was the keys to building such a prominent and respected brand?
I think it starts with actually having a business that works and has a purpose and is making a difference, whatever that might be. So it started with having that first as a foundation. So what I was talking about was real. It's not like I'm trying to sell something that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
It was already working. So then with the momentum of client referrals and people talking about it, and then clients ringing talkback radio, I started to get a few calls from some radio stations saying, oh, we've had a listener ring up and talk about MyBudget. Do you mind coming into the studio and having a chat? So I'll go in and have a chat. And that creates more momentum, more referrals. So it sort of started with referrals, and then a little bit of very basic PR. And then from there I thought, well, maybe mainstream advertising could work for us. So then I started advertising on radio and a little bit on TV, and then being involved in the Telstra Business Women's Awards sort of opened up more PR. And I got a PR agency on board, and that really helped catapult the business to the next level. And just talking about real stories and using real people and being real has been fantastic for the brand, because we are approachable. We're not like a bank.
Yeah.
I am a person. People work for me, and you'll be talking to a person who actually cares about you. And that's what we tried to get across with our brand, and to make that brand just real, authentic, approachable, and genuine, just like everybody that works at MyBudget.
Love it. So a lot of the people watching will be early stage business owners who probably have a story to tell in terms of media and stuff, but might not necessarily yet know how to package a story in a way that gets journalists to write about it or gets the invitation onto the radio show or the television show. Do you have any sort of pieces of advice of those that would like to utilise the media to build their brand? I
got a media agency involved, which was sensational for me, because I didn't know the first thing about approaching media and how to pitch a story. Over the years, I've been able to learn a bit about that, reasonable amount. So I would suggest just even having a consultation with a PR firm and learning a little bit more. There's different books that you can read that can teach you about PR, but I guess just being real and genuine and thinking about it from the eyes of the journalist and they're thinking about it from the eyes of their reader. What do their readers want to hear about? What is it that interests them? So think about it from that perspective. Is there a hook with your business that you think would be interesting to the general public, and then it will probably be interesting to the reporter, and particularly if it's topical. If you can weave what your business does into what's happening in currently, then you've probably got a pitch.
Love it. One of the things I often talk about is the extent to which we fulfill our vision as entrepreneurs is the extent to which we can inspire other people towards it. You've gone from, a couple of people, was it in a lounge room or a bedroom
Kitchen.
or in a kitchen table to 270, which is phenomenal growth and staff growth. What are some of the leadership principles that you've adopted along the way to engage your people and your team to help them move toward the actualization of the vision of the business?
Well, I think it's talking a lot about what it is we do and celebrating those wins. So if one of our clients really helps a client, we celebrate that story. We say, oh, did you hear what Sam did? She saved that person's car from getting repossessed. And we go and we high-five her and we email the company and we put something up on our intranet and say, you're awesome, Sam, high five, maybe we'll give her a gift voucher or something like that. So it's really celebrating those successes and talking about the vision of the company and our purpose of why we're here and where we want to go and the difference that we want to make. So to me, that is leadership, because that inspires people to work hard for you, that inspires people to want to be like you, that inspires people to go over and beyond for your clients, which ultimately helps the business and also helps them as a person as well. So for me, the vision and the purpose is really important, but also leading by example. So I can't expect my staff to act in a way that I don't act, and I expect them to act the same way that I do. And I love it when I walk around our office and I hear people on the phone, I think, oh, that's exactly what I would say. And I just want to tap them on the back and say, well done,
Very cool.
Yeah. So to me, I think that's been a really important part of leadership. And then learning and growing, because where there's a will, there's a way. Not everybody has the education, not everybody has the experience, but as long as people have the same values as our company and as me, we can teach them, because they want to be there. And that you can't teach people values. I can't teach people to care. If they don't care, they don't care. I can't teach them that. But what I can teach them is the skills that they need. So also upskilling our staff has been really important for the business, because we've been growing. So we've been needing the capability of our leaders to step up with the business. And that's a challenge. But people have been willing and wanting to do that. So it's been great having lots of young people working for me, because they've really had the drive to want to learn and grow themselves.
What is the vision for MyBudget?
To eliminate financial stress in the community. Really, that's the big picture, if we can remove financial stress from people's lives, that's what we want to do. And look, I know we're probably not going to remove it from everybody's lives, but if we can make a big dent in that, I'll be happy. I'd love to be able to track the success rate of our clients' marriages versus the success rate of the general public. Somehow I'm going to work out how to track that stat.
Totally.
Because that will tell us whether we're making a big difference or not.
I think a lot of business owners, particularly in the early days, often shy away from creating a vision, because I'll just be guessing, or there's too many unforeseeables or whatever. In my view, it's our number one job, right, is to stake a claim on the future and what we are aiming to build here. How important has having that, to eliminate financial stress is a really cool vision. How important has that been for you and your people and the culture and the business at large?
Very important, particularly as we grew. So in the early days, we talked about it a lot. So it was just in a small group and it's kind of known. But as you get bigger and you go from 10 staff to 20 to 30 and so forth, it can kind of get diluted down. So it's really important that it gets talked about on a regular basis. So each quarter we have our strategic planning session, and then we come back and communicate to the whole company. We reiterate our vision, we reiterate our values, and we talk about the plan, we talk about the long-term goals, the short-term goals, and what we need to achieve in the next 90 days. And we have a target, and we set up boards that say, this is where we need to get to. Are we there? Are we not there? And what do we need to do? So it gets the whole company talking about what it is that we need to do, but it all aligns to the vision of making sure what we're doing is eliminating financial stress. We don't want to be creating stress, so we want to eliminate it.
Yeah, very cool. I love that because you got everything from the macro vision at a broad level right down to project plans, KPIs, how are we doing it today, this week, this quarter. Yeah,
Yep.
Beautiful. Our audience, people watching this interview, early stage entrepreneurs, either growing or not yet. What do you think is the number one thing that they need to get right in order to, and it's a very broad question, right? No one think they need to get right to build a successful business.
Well, an obvious answer is just make sure that you love what you're doing, because it's going to be tough. If you don't like what you're doing and you're doing it because you think you might make a lot of money and something doesn't go right, you're likely to give up. So just make sure you love it. You've got passion for it and you've got drive. So that's the real, that's sort of the first thing that I think of. But after that, you really need to have a good plan in place. And that doesn't mean a big, long written business plan, because I didn't have one at all. Yeah. But it's just exactly what you said. Knowing where you want to be, what are your values, what do you want to achieve at the end of this year. You can just get it down on one bit of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be wordsmith. I'm not great with words. I've got other people that help me do that now. But, you just need to know where you're going, and you need to know where you want to be in the future. And that, to me, is really important for any business, if you have those aspirations to grow and not just sort of stay at the status quo.
Absolutely love it. If we were to go back to 1999, the day before Tammy starts MyBudget, what's the number one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Pay more attention initially to the brand, because it is really important. It made a big difference when we rebranded. Initially, I just sort of started and I was helping people, and I didn't really think about the big picture stuff as much as probably what I should have. So that would be something that I would tell myself to spend more time working on in the early days.
Very important. Love it. And Tammy, you're joining us at the upcoming Unconventions, which I'm very excited about. I know our audience is very excited about. What will you be sharing with us?
I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, some of the challenges along the way, some of the things that I've learned, because I think business is business.
Yeah.
So you can take, I've been there. I've been one person, two people, 5 people, 10 people. So I think what I can share, a lot of the audience will be able to relate to and understand, and also a bit about my personal journey, because we're all people and we connect that way. So I think a lot of the audience will connect with what I'm saying, and hopefully, add value to what it is that they're doing. And if they can, I always think if you can just take one thing away and apply it to your own business, it's time well spent.
We are looking forward to that presentation. Tammy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So guys, as you can see, Tammy is every bit of an award-winning entrepreneur. Who's taken a business from literally an entrepreneur in her home kitchen to now 270 staff. And someone that clearly understands how to create a vision and then how to actualize and turn that into practical targets and projects and everything, right down to the very practical detail, which is very impressive. If you are coming to the upcoming Unconventions, look forward to seeing Tammy, and we look forward to seeing you there.